So, as usual, we start at the top by to any of our listeners and followers who might not know you, to please tell us who you are and why you wrote the book.
Yeah, I was a submarine commander in the United States Navy, nuclear submarine commander, and I had a very interesting experience. At the very last minute, after being trained for one submarine, I got shifted to a different submarine, different kind of submarine. And so here I am as the captain. And we were deliberately told your job as leader is to make decisions and get people to do what you decide they should do. We weren't shy about that. And it was on the strength of my ability to make good decisions and puzzle through problems and solve things that I was made selected to be a submarine commander. Well, anyway, when I was thrown into this environment where I didn't know the submarine because it was a different kind of submarine at the very last minute. Why? Because the previous captain quit. It was the worst performing submarine in the fleet with the worst morale. That was the only two problems. And he quit a year early, and they said, oh, yeah, you're not going to go to where you were thought. You're going to go to the Santa Fe instead. And so I show up, and I had this really interesting experience where basically the conclusion I came to was that all of our leadership training and programming is on a outdated model. And these assumptions about how organizations are supposed to be run so deeply, we generally don't even question them. Like, well, of course my job is to make a decision. And of course it is to get other people to do it. Like, what else could my job be? We don't even see the potential for a better world. And so we had this experience, we set awards, we did all this stuff in the near term, which was wonderful. But the key is over the next 10 years, more submarine commanders came from this one submarine than any submarine. And then I wrote the book because I was pissed off and angry and depressed because I was suffering from not that kind of leadership. I was suffering from the kind of leadership where I was being told what to do and my thoughts weren't appreciated. And it made me angry. And I could see the effect on human beings that we were doing. These are good people doing bad things to people, thinking they were doing good things to people. And that was having a huge stress on people's happiness, lives, and health. It had an impact, significant negative impact on my own health. And I got out of the Navy, and I was this anger and frustration drove me to write the book so I could tell the story. Hey, it doesn't need to be like this, ladies and gentlemen. It can be better.
Really, writing a book from a place of really deep-seated passion probably gave you a lot of kind of incentive to and drive to kind of get up every day and go about doing it, which sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was so hard. That was a hard year of my life. I'm an engineer. So I'm a math guy. I was on the math team, and I'm kind of an action-oriented person. This idea of like, let's do stuff really appeals to me. And then to sit down in front of my computer and to write stories was just the most worst torture you could do to me. But I was driven by the anger that I had. And people say, well, that's really unhealthy. You shouldn't. Like, I don't know. Like that anger, I think, drives a lot of good change. And so for me, it's not bitterness. Bitterness maybe is not that helpful, but just like, listen, it doesn't need to be this crappy at work. We don't need to be killing ourselves. And the thing that was really frustrating for me was I would see these behaviors in leaders. They were not evil people. They thought they were doing the right thing. Mm. They thought they're running around and telling people was doing that, holding people accountable, quote, mentoring them, which really meant just telling them how screwed up they were. Those were all good things. And they're not.